Good evening, I'm Ces Oreña-Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Shawn Yao.
The big stories tonight. The Senate Blue Ribbon Committee will invite former Speaker Martin Romualdez and resigned Congressman Zaldico to the flood control inquiry. Question is, can the two be compelled to attend the hearing?
And the Agriculture Department has flagged ghost farm-to-market road projects in Mindanao worth 75 million pesos. Could there be more? We discuss this with the DA's spokesperson later on in the program.
And Senator Robin Padilla believes that former President Rodrigo Duterte is showing early signs of dementia. But the ICC prosecutor is adamant Digong is fine and remains to be a threat to his alleged victims.
Sa susunod na pagdinig, papadala na namin siya ng invitation letter. May show cause order. Pag hindi satisfactory ang kanyang show cause order, ipapakontempt namin siya at pa-issue namin siya ng warrant of arrest.
Ako Bicol Party List stands united behind him. We call on the public to, give Kong Zaldico the due process.
Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman Ping Lacson is inviting resigned Congressman Zaldico and former House Speaker Martin Romualdez. That's to testify in the upper chamber's investigation into alleged corruption in flood control projects. Lacson wants both lawmakers to come forward to debunk the perception of some sectors that the Senate probe is favoring or even protecting some personalities. But the big question is, will Co and Romualdez accept the invitation? Lacson knows full well that Co may not attend as he is still abroad, but Co has 3 opportunities to attend before a warrant for his arrest is issued by the committee.
Sa susunod na pagdinig, kung magkakaroon kami ng pagdinig, papadala na namin siya ng invitation letter doon sa kanyang address. Now, alam naman natin nasa abroad siya, so hindi yung sisipot. Pag hindi siya dumating, papadala namin ng subpoena at pag hindi sumipot, may show cause order. Pag hindi satisfactory ang kanyang show cause order, ipapakontempt namin siya at pa-issue namin siya ng warrant of arrest.
In the case of Romualdez, Lacson said the invitation will be coursed through House Speaker Faustino D. III. There is parliamentary courtesy between the 2 houses of Congress. The Blue Ribbons hearing is currently suspended as Lacson is waiting for new developments before proceeding.
And over at the lower chamber, one lawmaker is calling for the investigation of Ako Bicol Party List as well. Cebu 5th District Congressman Duke Frasco says the group should also be probed, as it is the vehicle through which Co's alleged abuses were committed. Frasco added that in order to protect the integrity of the House, Ako Bicol must face investigation, sanction, and if warranted, disqualification.
Ako Bicol Congressman Alfredo Garbin Jr. responded to Frasco's call, saying it is not right to punish their party list for unproven allegations against Co. He said calling for their disqualification will disenfranchise the Bicolanos who vested their trust in the group. Garbin likewise recalled the last time he spoke with Co when the former lawmaker vowed to come home in due time.
Of course, Ako Bicol Party List stands united behind him. Lalong-lalo nito in this most difficult time. And we call on the public to, give Kong Zaldico the due process which he is entitled to as, lahat ng allegations sa kanya.
Public clamor for accountability in the flood control corruption allegations has been building up. Recently, there was even talk of a possible mutiny by disgruntled officers and soldiers of the armed forces. The palace dismissed these as rumors, saying no less than AFP Chief of Staff General Romeo Browner supports the president's fight against corruption.
Hindi lamang po ang kasundaluhan ang galit sa korupsyon. So, atin pong igagalang ang kanilang mga mensahe dahil hindi po lahat ng tao gugustuhin na manakawan ng pondo ng bayan. Nadinig na po natin si General Browner. Sinabi po niya na mananatili silang matatag at hindi po sila sasali sa gintong klaseng gulo.
Palace Press Officer Claire Castro also defended the president's decision to appoint retired PNP Chief Rodolfo Azurin to the Independent Commission for Infrastructure. Azurin replaced Baguio City Mayor Benji Magalong as ICI Special Advisor and Investigator. Azurin's involvement in the alleged cover-up in the investigation of the PNP into a controversial drug haul in 2022 had come to light amid his appointment.
Ayon po sa Pangulo, ang pagkakapili po kay General Azurin ay base na rin po sa kanyang karanasan, sa kanyang mga kagalingan, at siya naman din po ay investigador at walang komplikasyon. Hindi po kasi siya politiko. Po, maliwanag, kayo na po nagsabi, hindi nakasuhan. Kasi kung naakusahan lang, madali po kasi mag-name drop. Madaling magbanggit ng pangalan, madaling magturo, lalo na ngayon. Pero iba po kasi kapag nakasuhan at nagkaroon ng desisyon ng conviction.
Yuse Castro also responded to the allegations made by Senator Cheese Escudero against the president's cousin, former Speaker Martin Romualdez. Castro said Escudero should just prove his claims instead of giving speeches. Castro also just had this to say on Zaldico's resignation yesterday.
Kung nababanggit ng kanyang pangalan, definitely dapat niya po itong sagutin. Dahil kung hindi niya po ito masasagot at iiwasan niya, lalabas lamang po siyang guilty. So, mas mainam po na maipaliwanag niya ang kanyang side.
President Bongbong Marcos also reiterated his call for the government to confront corruption head-on. This was his message to officials of the League of Vice Governors of the Philippines, whose oath-taking he led today.
The unscrupulous abuse of power and greed must come to an end. Dismayado ang maraming Pilipino dahil sa mga patong-patong na isyong lumulunod sa kanila araw-araw. Our people are exhausted. They are disappointed. They are angry. Let us confront it. Let us be humble and provide concrete solutions. Alam naman natin ang mga mali, kaya dapat nating itama.
And our first guest tonight is Senator J.V. Ejercito. Good evening, Senator. Welcome back to the big story.
Hi, good evening, Ces.
Senator, let's zero in first on the manifestation made by former Senate President Cheese Escudero yesterday at the Senate. What is your reaction to what he claimed as a zarzuela, with the scriptwriter as the former Speaker Martin Romualdez?
Well, first of all, I agree in the sense that, first of all, where did this modus of corruption start? It did not start in the Senate, no? It really started in the House of Representatives, led by Saldico and his cohorts. And I am sad and surprised that the focus then turned on the senators and the Senate, no? And one by one, senators are being named, being accused. But again, with this with the latest announcement of Senator Lacson of the Blue Ribbon that Saldico, Speaker Martin, and the others will be called, it's a welcome development, because if we really want to introduce legislation that would put safeguards so that repetition of such criminal act would not be repeated, we have to know and the modus, no? That is why every Blue Ribbon Committee hearing says, Pauline and Shawn, I try to bring back the modus so that we will find out how they did it, so that we can prevent the occurrence of such.
Mm-hmm. But of course, it is there's parliamentary courtesy that is observed, and this is unprecedented, no?
Yes, yes, that is correct. But says in the quest for truth, because in the situation right now, the people are furious, angry, and they would really want accountability at this time. No, if you base it on the recent actions, especially last September 21, we really have to move fast and show results that indeed those who are really guilty about this should be held accountable. And I don't think people will be contented with just the DPWH officials who really were the ones who really devised this ghost projects, substandard, but I think those behind, no, the proponents, as they say, has also to be answerable. And we must admit that there was indeed an abuse of congressional power in this case, as the case or the issue is moving on.
Okay, so if former Speaker Romualdez does not show up, he has 3 chances. A warrant of arrest can be issued.
Well, it's up to the committee to decide on that, and the chairman, and they will take the lead. But I'm hoping that Saldico, who is being identified, no, by the DPWH officials in the previous Blue Ribbon hearings as really the mastermind of this scheme, really has to appear and answer, so that we will be able to find solutions, or at least get answers straight from him as to how they were able to do this modus, and it can be so that it can be prevented in the future.
Senator, you're right, no? Since President Marcos opened this Pandora's box, a lot of senators have been named. We have been waiting for names of congressmen as well, but it would seem na parang laging nauudlot. First, even no less than current Blue Ribbon Chairman Ping Lacson said there were 67. We never actually got that list. Supposedly, Bryce Hernandez, who was allowed to get his computer, his desktop, and his files, he had the names there. Is there going to be pressure from the senators for this list to, or at least some names to become public? Because it seems that's what the public is clamoring for at this point.
Well, Sean, Jess and Pauline, that's why I am really surprised and puzzled, no? Because as we all know, this crime, no, or this scheme really originated from the House. Wala naman kami wala naman sa Senate na mga contractors, no? We do not, wala naglalako ng projects, as in the words of the DPWH officials. Wala rin humingi ng 20 to 25% yung tara, no, as they say. Hindi nangyayari sa amin yan. But sad to say that the focus suddenly turned into the Senate. My fear is that we might be moving in the wrong direction, because the real perpetrators are Saldico and his cohorts. So I'm hoping that we will be able to go back. That's why
are you saying,
yes,
Senator, if I may interrupt, are you saying that no senators were involved? Does this absolve the senators who were named of any wrongdoing?
I think they have to be given they have to be given due process. No, everybody's innocent until proven guilty. But what I'm saying says that we might be already moving in the wrong direction, because we have to find out, as I said earlier, who the real perpetrators of crime, so that we will be able to introduce, in aid of legislation, safeguards, and so that we will not be able to have this kind of crime again, no? So that is that's my position, na parang meron lang nabanggit na mga senators, no, like big fishes. We are already losing focus. That's why I am thankful that Congressman Toby Tiangco volunteered to go to the Blue Ribbon Committee hearing, and what he presented were really damaging. You can really see how they were able to put budget, no, really insert budget that bloated certain districts. So this is I'm hoping that we will be able to tackle or go into this direction, so that we will get to the bottom of this mess.
Pero ito po, Senator, tell us about the caucus that took place yesterday, because you were quoted as saying that you almost left the majority. Do you also share that sentiment with other members of the majority bloc?
Well, because a lot of us were talking. It's like it seems that our house is being burned, no, by our colleagues. I am being named one by one. When in fact, it should be in the other house. As I mentioned time and again that it really started the whole whole scheme really started from the other house. So these are all allegations. So I'm hoping that we will go back again to so that let us focus on the real perpetrators of this
Senator?
crime. Yes.
Yes. Kung sa caucus ninyo, no, nagkainitan na nga, that means na, kumbaga, tensions are also high among senators. What does this mean, no, for the solidity of the majority and the minority? Nagkakaroon na ba ng awayan or nagplano na ba kayo kung ano ba talaga yung magyayari sa next hearing? Paano ba natin papalabasin? Magkakaroon ba ng order at flow?
Well, to tell you frankly, everybody doesn't know what the end game is. I don't know where this will lead us, but one thing is for sure, the people are waiting because of yung sentiments lang, because as shown in the recent movements, yung mga rally like September 14 and 21, people are really looking for answers, no? Kahit I would want that we get to the bottom of this, because not all yung mga contractors, for example, hindi naman lahat sila there are contractors that are okay and legit, no? There are also legislators who are legit, even in Congress. All of them are also generalized, and the Senate as an institution has been badly damaged recently. So it will just be I'm hoping that it's a cleansing process, but I'm hoping that we will go into the right direction so that the real culprits of this scheme will be persecuted and eventually go to jail para hindi na to maulit.
So, Senator, you're putting into question the testimony given before the Senate by the witnesses sila Alcantara, Bernardo, Bryce Hernandez, etc. Are you saying that somebody was they're puppets of somebody who said, pangalanan nyo si Joel Villanueva, pangalanan nyo si Jinggoy, pangalanan nyo si Cheese? I don't think it's logical.
No, of course not. I in fact says I was very active in that, and that's why if you were monitoring the Blue Ribbon, I was trying to look harp on the scheme, on how they did it, on how yung pong mga ginawa po nila, yung pong mga in their district office. I would want to go back on how systematically that the budget insertions were done, no, in selected districts, no. I did not say that we are disproving that, no, but I'm saying that we have to go back on how all of these things were done. Says, and as you mentioned, earlier mentioned, how come it's only senators when in fact this whole thing started in Congress? So we have to know also who are the actual who were with Saldico in when he did all of these things.
Mm-hmm. There were also indications, Senator, na you are also want to wrap up na your probe to defer to the ICI, just like the House did. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, dapat yung next hearing, yun na yung last. What's the plan now? Has that changed since the caucus? Are we going to extend it? Ano po yung plano ninyo?
Well, I'm hoping that it will end soon, no? Because there's already the ICI, and it's been awkward, no? The House has been investigating, the Senate has been investigating, and it's awkward that some of the members are implicated. So it's better that it be handled by the third party, no? So I'm hoping we wrap up so that we can turn over whatever information that we got during the hearing. So I'm hoping don't get me wrong, Ces. So hindi ko sinasabing I'm disputing all of these things, but I think yung Alcantara and Bryce that were very essential in knowing how they were able to devise that scheme. But after that, who were behind? Yun po ang gusto ko malaman kung paano nila systematically binawasan po yung mga budget in other districts and putting it in selected districts that they controlled. Because in aid of legislation, I think that's our job, so that we will be able to put the necessary safeguard and legislation so that this this whole scheme will not happen again.
But at the same time, Senator, you have the public now clamoring for transparency from the ICI because their investigation is happening behind closed doors. Walang transparency. Hindi natin alam kung saan na ba papunta yung kanilang investigations. Are you also in favor of transparency with the ICI, starting with probably live streaming or having journalists cover what's happening?
Well, that is their prerogative, no? It's sometimes also iba rin kasi pag may camera, no? But everybody acts differently if there's if it's live. So we have to be realistic about it. So it's up to the Justice Reyes and the other members of the ICI if they think that it's necessary to make it live so that the public would know what is really happening.
Okay. Tansya mo, Sen, no? Based on the available data and the numbers as we have it and as Kong Toby has already put out there, parang nag-take hold, talaga lumaki yung mga figures starting 2016 and then they ballooned even in the last 2-3 years, right? You are also a congressman. What do you think? Anong tansya mo based na rin sa mga hearings? What could have happened there? At saan to talaga nagka-leche-leche, kumbaga?
When I was in Congress, there was still PDAF at that time, no? Before it was before the PDAF scam came, and before it was declared unconstitutional, and at that time, all districts, no, were given equal budget, no. I remember that time we were given 70 million, so that the logic here is that the projects or the programs will be evenly distributed all over the country, but unfortunately, the PDAF scam happened, so it was deemed unconstitutional. So, anong nangyari po doon, naging open na eh. And the sad thing about it is, at least before, per district, you are 70 million. But now, after that, naging open na. So, I'm sad to say na from millions, 100 millions, naging billion na ang budget. And it tend to favor certain individuals or legislators, yung mga close to the leadership, na dapat sana nga ako personally, that's why there should be I remember if projects that are national in nature or in the according to master plan, we should not be interfering. Nobody should be interfering with it, no. That's what I remember when I was still in Congress.
Yun nga eh. This was supposed to have prevented, di ba? That thing, parang no discretionary funds, pero nasikutan eh. That means whatever hearings were done in aid of legislation back there, sorry to say, but they all failed. So what can we do differently?
But, if I may add, no, right now insertion is such a bad word these days, but I would say not all amendments or insertions are bad, and I think it's part of our constitutional duty to introduce amendments. That's why you conduct budget hearings every year, no? For example, I defend the OTR, no? Just like yesterday, they had a proposed budget, but the National Expenditure Program only approved, or the DBM only approved this much. But they would ask legislators present their budget on programs or projects that are needed but were not part of the budget. So we introduce amendments.
Yeah.
Others also do that in other agencies, and I think that is not.
Agree.
As long as it's in plenary, as long as it's open.
Yes, that is correct.
Senator JV, I'd like to go back to the assertion that bakit senador lang? Bakit nasa ng mga congressman? But even Senator Ping Lacson had said, and this was in the 19th Congress, that some senators had insertions or, I guess, unprogrammed funds. So that's Senator Lacson na. Is he also being dictated to by Speaker Romualdez? I don't think so.
No, I mentioned earlier those are institutional amendments. It's not bad. It's our duty, no.
Okay.
But when it comes to projects, no, in the districts, in provinces, in local, we have our own constituencies. People, local government officials go to our offices. Whenever we go to the provinces, they ask for, they have requests. When I go, like maybe for example, my advocacy was healthcare. I go around hospitals, no, so that you can improve. They have their own requests. What I do is that whenever they request for projects, programs, we endorse it to the proper departments or agencies. Like for example, there's a request for a multi-purpose building, an improvement, any vertical, we forward or roads, we forward it to the DPWH. In case there's a request for farm to market, we forward it to the Department of Agriculture. When there's a request for health related things, we forward to DOH. So we whatever is it's the agencies like DPWH and others that conduct the bidding or do the assessment whether these projects are feasible or not. So each insertion or amendment is not bad at all as long as there is no post-enactment intervention. Hindi kami dapat nakikialam kung sino ang dapat na contractor sa bidding and everything. So that has to be clear.
So this sentiment of Senator Cheese that was expressed yesterday is shared by most of the Senate. You feel beleaguered. You feel that the onus is more on you than the House. The House
Yes,
of Representatives.
we feel that way because we were already, I think the whole institution is already being on the spotlight.
But
when
they're
in
not
fact, all-
scot-free yet. I mean, the investigation is still ongoing. Hindi lang sila napangalanan pa, pero hindi naman sila naaabsuelto, Senator.
Well, I'm hoping that there will be, well, I'm hoping says that bumalik yung focus no, sa where it started, where the scheme started, because we might be losing our focus. Again, balikan natin kung paano nagsimula yung modus, no, on how from the budget preparation, how they were able to insert the budget, going through the National Expenditure Program, going to the HGAB, and to the GAA, and to the BICAM. So, doon natin dapat alamin kung paano ginawa itong scheme na to so that, you know, we can prevent occurrence of such again. So, wag ho yung we're waiting for personalities to be named, mawawala tayo sa focus eh. Because para matigilan natin na hindi na ito maulit, kailangan na natin malaman paano nangyari simulan.
The public wants, sorry to put it in these terms, blood.
That is correct. That is
So
why
kung
I'm
system,
hoping...
sir, hindi yan
that is correct.
papasa. I mean, the people want people in
Hindi pa
jail,
palagpasin.
people
Yes.
take in
Accountability,
court,
yeah.
maparusahan.
And I agree with you. Sa bansang to siguro kaya wala natatakot magnakaw. Nobody is scared because
Yes.
no big fish is has gone to jail.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'm
Yes,
hoping
sir.
that this will be really a cleansing process. I'm hoping that after the ICI, the perpetrators, those who are guilty, should be persecuted, tried, and eventually be jailed. So I know the sentiments of the people. We can see how it is. Ramdam natin yung galit. Tayo
Shouldn't the Senate
nakakagalit.
focus
Yes.
instead on giving more powers to the ICI kasi wala silang contempt powers. Hindi sila makakapagsabpina. Hindi ba dapat din give them the arms to be able to conduct an honest to goodness investigation and para mahabol nila yung dapat nilang habulin?
I think that they are able to call naman and invite the all personalities, most of the personalities that are suspected to be part of this scheme already. No, a number of legislators, the DPWH officials who devised all of this scheme have been interviewed, have been brought to the ICI. So we're hoping that they can really come up with an honest to goodness answers, no, to all of these things, so that sabi ko nga, those who are involved should really be brought to justice para naman and people are clamoring. We hear that people. We know that we have to move fast and again I agree with you that talagang dapat may managot dito. Yung matunay na salarin dapat managot.
Pero when the Senate says, "But kami lang," it doesn't give a good sign to the people. Parang, bakit? Siya rin, Yung, di ba? It's like...
Kadamayan, naghahanap ng kadamay.
Naghahanap ng kasama.
Hindi naman maganda. That is the reason why I said that, it's better that we turn it to the third party already so that, it will not be awkward. And last but not the least, again, hindi sa ganon. It's not that we're trying to point to the other house. But again, saan ba nagsimula? No? Again, wala namang contractor sa Senado. Wala namang naglalako ng proyekto sa Senado. Yung pang 25%, it came from Bryce Hernandez.
But you know, Senator,
that it did not come from the Senate.
What he said is, it's a conspiracy kasi alam nila ang ginagawa ng House. Nakisama na rin, some of you. Isn't that what happened? You scratch your back, what is the term?
I scratch your back, you scratch mine.
I don't think that I don't agree for that. No, I can only speak for myself because again, we're very careful in that. Whatever projects or that is asked of us or requested for us, we made sure we forward it to the concerned agencies, and we make sure that we don't have any participation in the post-enactment. No, it's really the agencies who conduct the biddings and the awarding. Wala ho kaming kinalaman po.
Pero meron talagang tumatawag, yung parang nagyari daw po kay Senate President Tito Soto, yung may papasama po ba kayo sa NEP, ganon. Meron, does that normally happen? If it happened to one, syempre we're imagining na baka others also got that call. Kahit hindi...
I don't know.
Sa
I have
allocable funds.
Yes.
Allocable funds set aside by the DPWH even before they bring the NEP to
Unfortunately,
Congress.
Dagdag ko lang din, Senator.
They said it in your hearing, sir.
Dagdag ko lang din, Senator.
Unfortunately-
Because you did mention insertions are not bad only when there is post-enactment. But if there's anything we learned from all these hearings, the intervention happens pre-implementation, di ba, Senator? Yun nga, in the NEP level. So, anong kailangan gawin po doon?
Unfortunately, I did not receive any call like that. No? But that is why...
Mabuti na lang, sir.
Kaya nga po sinasabi ko sa inyo, hindi sa tinuturo kay kami ng House, but the insertions as mentioned really started sa NEPALA according to Congressman Tiangco. And then in the HGAB, in the BICAM. So this is the things that we really would want to find out on how these things really happen. Kaya nga para hindi na maulit. So, yun po yung inaano ko natin, no, para hindi na po maulit. We are trying to go back. It's not that we are blaming the other house, but I think all of these things started
To the
from
original
there, no?
sin. Parang ganon.
Opo.
To the original sin.
That's why in the conduct of the Blue Ribbon hearings, if you notice, I was really more interested on the modus, on how they did things. No, I was questioning the DPWH officials, and then all of them, from Bryce to JP Mendoza to Henry Alcantara, no, and I think what Congressman Toby Tiangco, his testimony was very helpful, and he came with evidence, no. So bumalik lang ho tayo doon. Hindi sa nagtuturo tayo or naglilinis, but I think we really have to put things in perspective and go back to how it all started so that we will find out and we will know how to prevent the occurrence of such.
Well, plus, your brother was also implicated. So that puts you in a difficult situation, Senator.
Well, I have to tell you that, whether even if we don't really, we were not in good terms, of course, I feel for him, no, and my colleagues as well, and I'm hoping that I'm sure that they can defend themselves. And as I mentioned, everybody's innocent until proven guilty. So we just have to wait until all of these things are done. We have to wrap up and we get to the bottom of all this mess.
We thank you for talking to us. Thank you, Senator J.V. Ejercito.
Thank you.
We're just going to take a quick break, but coming up, an ally of Rodrigo Duterte believes the former president already has early signs of dementia and should be released, even if temporarily. That and more stories still ahead when we return. Keep it here on One News.
Welcome back to the big story. Allies are intensifying calls for the temporary release and later house arrest of former President Rodrigo Duterte. As one senator claimed, Digong is already showing early signs of dementia. But drug war victims believe this is just another decoy to delay Duterte's trial for crimes against humanity. Here's the report.
Former President Rodrigo Duterte's camp submitted new medical records to the International Criminal Court to prove his cognitive impairment. But the camp of victims to his drug war believes this to be just another alibi to keep the case from moving forward.
Yung timing, number one, ng mga submissions ng defense, parang suspicioso. If President Duterte, the former president, had been unfit for trial from the very beginning, as his attorney says, then why raise it 5 months after he was arrested? Right on the brink, on the eve of the hearing, confirmation of charges hearing. Second, it's one pleading, one request after the other.
Former Senator Sonny Trillanes also doubts Digong is unwell to stand trial. He also questioned if there is truth to Vice President Sara Duterte's claim that the former president was recently found unconscious while in detention. Trillanes insists the ICC has a competent medical team inside the facility and that any welfare check on the detainee would require his consent. Congressman Pulong Duterte had accused Trillanes of being part of the Philippine government team that supposedly recently visited his father.
Nakuha natin na impormasyon sa ICC na wala pong nangyayaring bisita kay Duterte nang hindi niya pinapayagan. So outside the lawyer saka yung mga pamilya niya ay wala ho nangyayaring gano'n. Kaya lahat po ito ay malaking kalokohan at drama nung kampo ng mga Duterte. Gusto nilang tawaan, gusto nilang mag-create ng duda at kung anumang dahilan para mabigyan ng interim release si Duterte.
Congressman Pulong has pointed to a photograph of Trillanes while in The Hague that had a caption, "Duterte is still inside the ICC's detention facility." But the former senator called this as yet another false information from the Duterte camp.
Konteksto nun, di ba, naglabas ng fake news yung mga Duterte. Kasama na si Kitty Duterte na nag-grant na raw yung interim release. So kaya ako nag-post ng ganon. Kasi naitanong ko dun sa mga kaugnayan natin kung totoo ba yon, sabi nila hindi. Kaya sinabi ko, hindi totoo na nasa loob pa rin siya.
Trillanes also claimed that based on information he gathered as an interested party in the Duterte case, the ICC's arrest warrants against Senators Bato de la Rosa and Bongo are coming. De la Rosa was the first PNP chief of Duterte when he assumed power in 2016, and Go, his special assistant. The arrests, according to Trillanes, could come next year with the two charged as principals.
Sila yung integral dun sa war on drugs ni Duterte. So si Duterte taga-utos, si Bato taga-enforce sa PNP, si Bongo taga-distribute ng pera.
Trillanes further revealed that former PCSO General Manager Rina Garma, who testified about the Duterte death squad, has been chosen as a witness in the case. Garma is allegedly done with her preliminary interview with the ICC and is in a, quote, safe place right now. Trillanes also does not think that a third country has agreed to take Duterte in case the ICC grants his interim release. Meantime, Trillanes likewise alleged that there were active groups that had wanted to hijack the September 21 rallies to bring back the Dutertes to power. Back to the ICC, the Office of the Prosecutor maintained that there are potential risks in granting Duterte temporary freedom. In a publicly redacted document, the prosecutor wrote, quote, "The prosecution has demonstrated through multiple filings that Mr. Duterte, if granted interim release, would be a flight risk, is likely to interfere with the proceedings, and may commit further crimes." It also pointed to the defense unnecessarily delaying proceedings through 4-1, waiting until 5 months after Duterte's initial appearance to file its challenge regarding his fitness to stand trial. The Center for International Law and other civil society groups had called out Duterte's defense team too. They expressed grave concern and alarm over the alleged repeated attempts by Digong's defense lawyer, Nicholas Kaufman, to misrepresent the statements of parties involved in the ICC proceedings. Back at the Philippine Senate, a caucus was held on Tuesday afternoon to discuss the resolution by the minority bloc calling for Duterte to be placed under house arrest here. Known Duterte ally, Senator Robin Padilla defended the measure by expressing his immense concern for the former president's health condition.
Kasi meron na pong matinding sakit si Tatay Digong. Sa kasalukuyan po, siya po ay meron ng tinatawag nating early signs of dementia.
And now on to another story. Among the agencies standing to benefit from the realignment of funds from controversial flood control projects is the Department of Agriculture. Let's discuss this with Assistant Secretary Arnel de Mesa of the DA. But good evening, Yusek. ASEC, I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, first, let's go to the effects of the storm on our farmers. Kamusta po ang damage to agriculture?
Yes, good evening. Base sa huling datos na nakalap natin mula sa ating mga regional field offices at sa mga lokal na pamahalaan, nasa almost 2 billion, 1.95 billion na yung damage to agriculture. Ito na yung combined effects ng Opong, Nando, Mirasol at saka ng Habagat. Yung malaking damage was reported sa Region 2, sa Cagayan Valley, in particular dito sa probinsya ng Cagayan at 653 million. And then dito sa Isabela at 134 million. Ganon din dito sa Ilocos Norte at 169 million.
So ano pong assistance ang binibigay ng DA sa mga magsasaka po?
Bago pa actually dumating yung bagyo, mga bagyo, kasi na rin sa tagubilin ng ating Pangulo, meron na tayong mga preposition items kagaya ng binhi ng palay, na mais at saka ng gulay. And of course, yung ating indemnification sa mga nasirang taniman at palaisdaan. Ang Philippine Crop Insurance Corporation, naglaan na sila initially ng 237 million. And then yung ating tinatawag na survival and recovery loan packages, that's about 25,000 sa bawat individual na gustong mag-avail ng ganitong programa. At yung ating quick response fund, ito yung ating rehabilitation and recovery project, that's about 1 billion pesos. And yung NFA naman, they have allocated 2.4 million bags na para dito sa mga naapektuhan ng bagyo for disaster relief efforts ng LGUs at saka ng mga relief agencies.
So nabanggit nyo, Sec, no, na combined ito na pre-possession pati na rin after the fact, so after nung mga bagyo. Kamusta naman yung distribution? Is it at 100%? All for the funding, yung mga binhi, pati yung mga bigas?
Yung distribution will come after pag ready na uli magtanim yung ating mga farmers. And then yung sa indemnification, once those reports were validated by the Philippine Crop Insurance Corporation, automatic naman yan, nire-release nila yung pondo dun sa mga affected farmers and fishers.
And ASEC, puntahan ko lang po yung budget for next year. The Agriculture Department stands as one of the agencies set to benefit from ito nga pong flood control projects, and I believe the allocation is about 39 billion pesos. ASEC, how does the Agriculture Department plan to prioritize these funds?
Yeah, we're very happy and appreciative sa ating Pangulo sa pag-allocate ng pondo. Nagpapakita ito ng tiwala sa sektor ng agrikultura na ma-implement yung mga projects. So almost 40 billion ito, and this will be allocated sa ating mga cold storage facilities and projects dito sa ating post-harvest facilities, sa mga farm-to-market roads, and other projects. Meron din tayong mga assistance to farmers, especially yung naapektuhan ng mga kalamidad, stand to receive also financial assistance out of this almost 40 billion.
Nakapag-harvest naman po yung ating mga rice farmers no, before tumama itong yung bagyong letter M, N at saka O.
Marami nang na-harvest. Actually, yung na-damage about 44,000 hectares. About 35,000 hectares doon ay partially damaged and can be recovered pa naman. Only about 6,000 hectares talaga yung totally damaged at hindi na natin maisasalba. That's corresponding to about more than 100,000 metric tons.
I asked that, ASEC, because the last time we spoke to Secretary Tiu Laurel as well as Senator Kiko Pangilinan, no, they were working on, kumbaga, tapusin na no, yung tariffs on rice imports, yung lowered tariffs on rice imports. Where are we on the negotiations on that?
On the tariff, ang plano is itaas. Previously, it was 35%. As per EO 62, it went down to 15%. And dahil continuous yung pagbaba ng presyo ng farm gate ng palay sa mga probinsya, ang isang napagkasunduan at pumayag ng ating Pangulo ay extend yung import ban to another 30 days. So ibig sabihin up to end of November. And another option really is to, again, bring back the tariff to about 35% level.
ASEC, what's the latest on the DA's preliminary findings and their audit dun sa mga farm-to-market roads, lalo na yung mga ghost? Ilang kilometro po ba yung nahanap nyong ghost, na confirmed ghost po talaga?
Na-report na rin ni Secretary kanina during sa mga earlier interviews niya. At base doon sa initial findings nga that we received from our Bureau of Agriculture and Fisheries Engineering plus the report din sa region, from 2021 to 2025 audit review, yung 2021 to 23, may nakita kami na siyam na ghost projects and 7 dito ay sa Davao Occidental at 2 projects naman kita sa Lanao del Sur. Meron pang mga ongoing projects reportedly from 2021 to 2023 pero lapsed na kasi yung budget niyan kasi 2 years lang yung validity. So yung iba dyan ay reported completed din ng DPWH but to our account ay hindi pa naman tapos. So but yung ghost project talaga yung 9 na and this 9 ay out of the 4,700 projects. So that represents very minimal amount, about 0.01% of the total number.
Sinong salarin doon, ASEC?
Sinong congressman, ASEC? Kasi nagagalit ang Senate, bakit puro senador daw ang pinapangalanan? Who recommended this? Which congressman recommended these projects or is the one assigned?
I'm not privy kung sinong congressman yung narito. FMR kasi are also congressional
Yes.
projects.
Yeah.
And ang role ng DA talaga is to identify and validate those proposed projects and the implementation really are with the Department of Public Works. Yeah.
And the contractors, are they among the 15 listed by the President himself?
No, based on the records, wala doon sa 15 identified by the President, but mostly are local contractors.
So in your audit, how many % have you already checked of the farm-to-market roads?
Priority yung mga earlier years, 21 to 23, kasi ito talaga dapat yung tapos na. And we're expected na matapos talaga yung we're expecting to complete the audit by the end of the year kasi madami talaga almost 5,000 all over the country.
All right. ASEC, I wonder if you could comment on this because resigned Congressman Zaldico mentioned his supposed request with the Secretary for fish import allocations, and he said that it was untrue. Would you be able to comment on that? Because according to the Agriculture Secretary here, he kept records of the text message exchanges or Viber messages.
Sorry, Ses, I'm not privy dun sa ganang arrangement, but I believe the Secretary will, as mentioned earlier, will provide the necessary documents to that.
One final question. Were you present at that hearing, which was played back by Senator Chis Escudero, where he defends himself saying he was even asking why flood control projects, the budget for flood control projects is higher than the DA's budget? Were you present in that hearing?
Yeah, ang gusto sana talaga namin is madagdagan talaga yung budget ng DA, especially on irrigation kasi importante ang irrigation. Multipurpose yan eh. It can be used to control floods kasi na impound na yung water bago bumaba doon sa downstream. And of course, it can be used for irrigation, for potable water, and for energy production. Kaya kami, at least sa sector namin, we would want, kasi there are about 1 million hectares of potentially irrigable areas in the Philippines. At importante ang tubig para mapataas talaga ang productivity at yung sufficiency natin for majority of our crops.
Pero nabigay ba ng Senado?
Unfortunately talaga may backlog kami ng 27 years in relation to investment to agri-infrastructure. Hindi lang irrigation, kasama na dyan yung sa logistics, kasama na doon sa post-harvest, and so many other agri-infra na talagang, yun nga, based on the Agriculture and Fisheries Modernization Act. It's a very good law na talagang hindi napondohan for a very long time.
Did you say 27 years?
27-year backlog.
What?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you very much for joining us, and that information is really mind-boggling. Thank you, DA ASEC Arnel de Mesa. Now, in other news, the Asian Development Bank says the Philippine economy will remain on a steady path this year and next, growing at above 5%. But, and it's a big but, that projection doesn't yet factor in the impact of corruption investigation and the fact that DPWH's budget for next year has been slashed. Mobile journalist Amy Atienza has that story.
The Asian Development Bank has kept its growth outlook on the Philippines intact in its latest Asian Development Outlook report released Tuesday. That means it expects the economy to grow 5.6% this year and 5.7% in 2026. But that doesn't yet factor in the fallout from the ongoing investigation into corruption in flood control projects. For next year, more than 255 billion pesos was cut from the DPWH's proposed budget, and no money was allocated to flood control works.
We didn't see a reason to, at this point in time, to reduce those GDP projections due to that issue, but it's certainly a heightened risk. And between now and our December update, there may be more kind of quantifiable data available that may alter our projections.
ADB is currently helping the government build and fund a master plan for the National Capital Region, which DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon has told Congress will be available by 2026. It also has 2 ongoing flood control projects, one in Mindanao and one in Northern Luzon. The bank has previously said the probe won't deter it from financing more projects in the Philippines. It says it maintains strict safeguards to ensure project funding is used for its intended purpose. And Jeffries added that they are carefully monitoring developments on the ground.
Corruption has, broad impacts to economic growth in general and investment sentiment. And so we're monitoring that and how that may be affected going forward. We only have one ongoing flood protection project. It involves 2 river basins in Mindanao and one in northern Luzon. So, and that project, as I said, we go through a very careful monitoring process.
Still, Jeffries said the Philippine economy remained resilient in the face of higher U.S. tariffs, the changing global trade landscape, and geopolitical uncertainties. At 5.6% growth, the country is behind only Vietnam as far as the region's fastest-growing economies goes. In fact, ADB called the Philippines a bright spot in Southeast Asia. ADB says strong domestic demand will continue to anchor growth. Inflation is forecast to settle at 1.8% this year, below the government's official target of 2 to 4%.
Obviously, this year and next year are a little more certain, but there's always changes. And then as you go out 2 years, 3 years, it's a little less. And this is a rolling process. But we have some support earmarked for later this year. But of course, it's all subject to approval from our board of directors, and it's also subject to final approval on the Philippine government side.
Mobile journalist Timia Chanza, we are One News.
All right, congratulations are in order for two of our sister programs here on One News. They have been recognized as national winners at the 2025 Asian Academy Creative Awards. One News's business program, Money Talks with Kathy Yang, is named Philippine winner for Best News Program, while Gretchen Ho, host of Morning Matters, is the country's winner for Best Factual Presenter. Money Talks and Gretchen Ho joined the ranks of programs and hosts from BBC and Bloomberg. Meanwhile, among the MediaQuest family, Piolo Pascual is the Philippine winner for Best Actor in a Supporting Role for the MMFF entry, The Kingdom. Singaling Season 3 is named country's best non-scripted entertainment, while Merry ang Vibes ng Pasko, the MVP Group's 2024 Christmas ID, won Best General Entertainment Program for the Philippines. The 2025 Asian Academy Creative Awards ceremony will be held on December 4 in Singapore.
Wow, congratulations.
Congratulations to Gretchen and Kathy. But here for our big picture tonight, it's the Philippine Stars Month Ender captioned na para bang isiniksik ang lahat sa September. As soon as Jose Marie Chan showed up again for the start of the Burr months, it was a non-stop stream of news about corruption, contractors, and some breakups in between. The month began with Sara Diskaya confirming she has 28 luxury cars, some of which were eventually seized. Then there's the leadership shakeup, not just in the House, but also in the Senate. And who would forget the trillion peso march, which saw peaceful protests in Luneta and the People Power Monument, and the chaos in Manila that came after. But despite this, there were glimmers of hope. Alex Ayala capturing her first ever WTA title, and girl group Beanie taking part or being part of Coachella in 2026. Whew.
Siksik nga.
Siksik. I hope October is nicer to all of us.
Let's see.
Yeah, we'll see. But that will do it for us this Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching The Big Story.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
We'll be back here next month.
Tomorrow.
AKA.
That's tomorrow, October 1st at 7:30 p.m. Have a good night.